Hi, I'm Miss Darnetta from the Orland Park Library, and welcome back to our Homeschooling 101 series. Today's topic is how to choose a curriculum. So, we've covered quite a few topics thus far. The very first session, we talked about what was our homeschool mission, or why do we want to homeschool. And over the course of the last few sessions, we've discussed legal issues, we've discussed homeschooling styles. So for this specific topic, we need to keep in mind two things. The first one is, what was our why? Because we'll need that in choosing our curriculum. And two, what was the homeschool style that resonated most with you? So when you get ready to choose a curriculum, it can be very overwhelming because there are so many options available. If you just look up homeschool curriculum, you can become very overwhelmed. So they range from very general to very specific, online, very individualized. There's so many options. So if you already know, one, what's your why, and two, which homeschool style resonated most with you, you're already way ahead when it comes to choosing. So we're going to use a simple example to help us make our choice. We're just going to make up an example. We'll say that our interest or our reason for wanting to homeschool is because we want our children to read more literature, more books. We want our children to be able to play outdoors more and interact with nature more. And we want our children to be able to have experiences that are not necessarily screen-based. So if those are our whys and some of the things that were reasons for us wanting to homeschool, next we would look at what homeschooling style was most applicable to that. So let's just say that when we were listening to that session, the one that resonated the most was Charlotte Mason. So Charlotte Mason method does emphasize literature, nature, and living books. So that will actually go really well with why we want to homeschool. So we're now have our why and we have our style. So where do you find these programs? So there's many places you can find them. They're all over the internet. And before you get a chance to narrow them down, we have a couple of websites that have a broad range of different curriculum that you can choose from. So we'll have the link. We would first suggest that you go through those links, and if you put in Charlotte Mason, a lot of them have Charlotte Mason categories that you can pick through. So one of them is Kathy Duffy. She has reviews for books, and you can books in all kinds of literature programs. So if you find a Charlotte Mason program that you like, you would put it in the chat, or in the search. And in the search bar, she would give you a review for that. So let's make up one. There's a program called Simply Charlotte Mason. So if you like Charlotte Mason method and you want literature books and you found out about Simply Charlotte Mason, you could go through Kathy Duffy. You could also just Google Simply Charlotte Mason and review and look at all the things on the website about that program. Before you buy, I would encourage you to do these because some of the programs can be very expensive. Before you buy, you want to make sure that this is something that is actually a good fit for your child. So you knew your why and you knew what style resonated with you. But the third thing to keep in mind would be what specific things about your child make you think that this would be a good fit for you or fit for them. So you might have a child that really likes reading, or if you have a child who's not a strong independent reader yet. Those are things to keep in mind when you're looking through the books. Or if you have a child who needs more one-on-one math instruction, or is very sciencey and loves like science studies and biology and nature and chemistry, then you will want to keep those things in mind too, because some of them may fall into the Charlotte Mason category, but may not necessarily give you those things that are very specific to your child or family. So once you find that you, say for instance, want the Simply Charlotte Mason curriculum, I would encourage you to also go on YouTube. Most YouTubers have some sort of videos about the curriculum. So you could just put in YouTube Simply Charlotte Mason, and you could easily find several reviews and even people showing up close images of the curriculum. And then after that, you might be armed with enough information to make the decision. Now, before COVID-19, one of the main ways people would purchase curriculum is through homeschooling conferences, which are usually held in the spring. And during the conferences, there are tons of vendors that are in an exhibit hall, and you can go up to them, you can interact with the materials and ask questions. Now, since we're unable to do that, a lot of those conferences have been canceled. I would encourage you to reach out to them on their website if they have any contact information. I'm sure the manufacturers are very willing to discuss this. And there's also lots of manufacturers that have actually done online conferences and online videos specifically about the products that they offer to try to fill in the gap because a lot of those conferences were canceled. So, you know what your why was, you know which style resonated with you, and then you knew your child's interests. So you feel very confident that maybe you have the right choice for your family. The one thing that I would also, and this is the last one that I would encourage you to keep in mind, would be how easy would this be for you to teach? Sometimes I think people don't think about this right away, but how easy is this program for me to teach? It could be a perfect fit for your child, but if you find that it's cumbersome, the instructions are very difficult to follow, then maybe that wouldn't be the best thing for you. Or some programs require you to take some sort of instruction beforehand to learn how to implement the program well. Maybe you prefer something like that instead of just an open and go program where you read the instructions and you start. So this is something very important to keep in mind, and specifically if you have multiple children. If you're homeschooling one child, it may not be as hard, but if you have multiple children to teach, taking into account how easy the program is for you to implement is very critical because you'll have multiple children to manage. And if it's very hard for you to teach, you're going to struggle with what to do with the students who aren't actually being engaged at that time. So once you know your why, you know which style resonates with you, you know your child's interests, and you decide that you feel like you would be very comfortable implementing this program, I would also encourage you to then check out some used book sales. You could look up used book sales online, in Facebook groups, or any other groups out there. You can Google them and look for used book sales because curriculum can be very expensive, and one of the responsibilities of a homeschool parent is to actually budget and pay for these programs out of pocket. So in order to avoid buyer's remorse and you purchase lots of things at one time and then decide that it's not the best fit for your family, look first to see if there's someone selling it. People are always selling programs that they've already used. Sometimes people bought things and never used them, so you can get a very good price on something that you've never used, that has never been used. So make sure you read about the products on the manufacturer's website, look for YouTube reviews, see if you can find any online discounts, and then see if you can find a person from the manufacturer that is providing more information. I will cross off those things on the list and then move forward with the purchase. If you also are very concerned about your ability to purchase a program because you're new to homeschooling and you're just not really sure what to do, a very good option for first-time homeschoolers is to buy a box curriculum. Now, this is separate from our discussion using the Simply Charlotte Mason as an example. Outside of that, there are different programs that provide what is called a box curriculum. So for instance, if you know that you want to do a school at home approach, which is basically replicating what was done at school at home, you could find a program that would send you, if your child's in first grade, a whole year's worth of first grade curriculum. They would send you the books, they would send you the plans, and you would have everything for every subject that you need to teach first grade. And then you could just start from there. And this is not just for the school at home approach. You can find them from different other companies that use other approaches. And so that is a very good option if this is your first year homeschooling and you're not very sure what you want. Maybe you looked at the video about the approaches to homeschooling and none of them really resonated with you, or maybe a couple of them did and you weren't really sure. Maybe a good idea would be to buy a box curriculum where they provide all of it for you, and usually there is an instructor's guide that teaches you how to implement the curriculum, and use all of the subjects interchangeably, then that would be a good option for you. And you could try that out for a year and see if that worked for you. And then after that, you might learn more about what's interesting to you, what's interesting to your child, and then you can become more customized later on down the line. So there's no pressure for you to go out and pick a math, a science, an English, all of these different things on your own and try to figure them all out. You could just go and find a box curriculum that would make it a lot simpler so that you can kind of get a general understanding of things and then go back the next year and make a different purchase. Also, some programs do have a try it before you buy it, so I would look for that. And some programs have a money back guarantee. I would look for that. So if you tried it for a year and you found out this was an awful fit, my kid hated it, it was not a good teaching tool for me, you can package it all up and send it back. And some of these companies will just give you your money back, and that will be it. You didn't lose any money. So if you're going to buy something brand new, I would look for that as well. So just a quick recap. In picking our curriculum, the first thing you need to do is go back to your why. Why are you homeschooling? Secondly, decide which homeschool style or approach appeals to you the most. And then third, look at your children, your child or your children or your family situation for this year and decide what would be the best thing for that. And lastly, think about how you would implement this as a parent. Does the program work well for you, the teacher? And so once you've done that, you've explored some of the online forums, some of the online stores, and some reviews that are online, then you're all set. You're ready to make a purchase. It's very exciting to buy homeschool curriculum. It can be sort of an obsession that can easily be fueled. So it's a very fun time, and it's always exciting to get school books. The book opening is a big day in a lot of families. So have fun with it and try some new things, and you'll be surprised. And before we go, I do want to encourage you to also use the library. A lot of the programs that you might find online, specifically literature programs, what they do is they provide you with the instructor's guide, and then it's like a list of books. If you don't feel comfortable buying all the books, you are more than welcome to come to the Orland Park Library, get your guide. Sometimes you can just pay for the guide and then come in and check out books here. We'd be more than happy to help you out. So if you have any questions, we're encouraging people to please put your questions in the chat. We are going to try to answer all the questions in our last session, which will be a Q&A session. And if we don't get to them, we'll be sure to contact you if we can. So thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you on the next session. Bye.